What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Madden 20 video for you guys today. We're going to be going through every position and giving you guys the most underrated player I think at each position based on their overalls. And I know this is just the ratings for, like franchise to start and, quick games play nows, but I also think that it plays a little bit into where they're going to rank in Madden Ultimate Team at the beginning, and where I think those all will go. And just an honorary mention right off the bat, I'm going to go into more detail on other positions or other players, but just Aaron Rodgers 90 being lower than Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, all these quarterbacks is ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers should at least be a 92, 93 rate in that range, so just want to get that out of the way. But starting at quarterbacks, the first player that I think is highly underrated, it's really like two people that are, I think, highly underrated, is Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz coming at those 82s. Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz both are better than Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff and Cam Newton, in my opinion. But especially Deshaun Watson, I think he should be coming in at least like an 85, 86, maybe right behind this Matt Ryan range. I think Carson Wentz maybe like an 84, 85, right around the Big Ben range. But I think Deshaun Watson really should be above Big Ben at like an 86 rate, between that 86 and like 88, right behind Matt Ryan. It's pretty ridiculous because he had a great year. I don't know why Madden decides to put him all the way down to 82. I feel like that's really disrespectful for him. I guess he'll just have to move up during the regular season and prove them all wrong. But that's who I'm going to have at quarterback. And for his base elite card coming into Madden Ultimate Team, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm assuming he's going to be pretty low on the list too, which is pretty unfortunate because he's a pretty good card with the speed and throwing if he does get a good overall. Next up, we're going to move over to halfbacks, and the player I have for halfbacks is James Conner right here at the 83 overall. So I know that he missed some games last year, but he played really well when he was healthy. Definitely better than someone like a Dion Lewis. I don't know why that James Conner got so low. I think he should be at least like an 86 around the Phillip Lindsay, Mark Ingram range, maybe right behind this David Johnson. Once again, I think Madden just really doesn't even care about these ratings because they don't seem to actually give anyone like a pretty accurate rating. There's very few people, I think, that actually got a really good rating. Once again, James Conner is going to be a workhorse this year for the Steelers, especially with Le'Veon officially being gone, and them knowing that he's going to be the guy. They're going to readjust their offense around him, and he's going to have a beast year. I don't doubt it. I don't know why they decided to put him at 83, but I see him going up in the future. Next up for wide receivers, and this one's pretty ridiculous as well. I don't know how he's so low, but down here at the 79 overall, we have Calvin Ridley when we get there. And it's pretty ridiculous because he came in at a 79 last year, and he actually had a really good year this past year. Definitely was a game changer for the Falcons. Definitely proved that he should be at least in the 80s. I think at least like an 82 would have been good. Starting him at a 79 is pretty ridiculous because he was a 79 last year as well. But, it is what it is, I guess. Calvin Ridley, once again, he's one of those players that are definitely going to prove him wrong. I see him doing even better this year with a couple years experience under his belt. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll get into that later. We're going to move on to tight ends. So I'm skipping fullback and offensive line just to give you guys a heads up, just because I don't know too much about offensive line, and it's kind of hard to base them off of statistics and things like that when you don't know that much about it. So I'm just not going to get into it. I don't want to give you guys any false information about the offensive line ratings. So I figured I would just go to skip those and fullback as well, just because there's really not that many fullbacks even in the NFL. Most teams don't even run a fullback formation anymore. So that being said, let's get into tight ends. And I think O.J. Howard is the most underrated tight end in the game. He had a really great year last year. He had a really great year receiving and scoring touchdowns. He was like top 10 in both, I believe, for tight ends, if not a little bit higher. And I don't know how he got lower than these players like a Jared Cook. Jack Doyle didn't even play most of the year. Austin Hooper didn't do that great. So I don't understand how he got so low on the list. I think that he definitely should be like an 88, if anything. Tyler Eifert's an 88, and he hasn't played like a full season in a while. So I mean, I don't understand how they put OJ Howard so much lower, but it is what it is. The tight ends are really weirdly ranked this year. I mean, if OJ Howard's at 84, Jason Witten was retired and came in at 83. So that just shows that they don't really care about the year you had necessarily last year. They kind of just base it off of what they want to base it off of. I wish they would just do it off of like the Football Focus or something like that, just so no one could really argue it. But, they're probably not going to. And coming in, I did both of the D ends together just because I kind of considered it the same thing. So I'm just going to get into it. And let's see if he's down here, which he should be, and it's right here, D Ford. So D Ford last year had like 12.5 sacks. He had some pass deflections, fumbles. He had a lot of tackles. He was all over the place making plays. And for some reason, they have him all the way at an 84. And he should be at least like an 86, 87. I mean, I think he had a better year than most of these players up here. He was really high in sacks. Like I said, he had like 12 or 13, something like that. He also had fumbles, the pass deflections. I believe he even had an interception or two. But a pretty beast player, and especially really good last year. They just really lowered him. Not too sure why. I think he should be like an 87, but that's why I put him as the most underrated player in that position. Next up, we're going to move to defensive tackle. And for the defensive tackle position, I know it's kind of weird because he's an 87 overall, but DeForest Buckner had a great year last year. I don't understand how he got rated so low comparatively. He had a beast year as well with a lot of tackles, a lot of stuffed runs, sacks. He pretty much did everything. So DeForest Buckner should definitely be like a 90 at least, I believe, just based off of what I've seen on the stats last year. And I know I keep referencing the stats from last year, and I don't think that's what Madden goes off of. So if someone does know what Madden actually uses, please let me know. But the way I think that it should be done is based off of their performance last year and their performance in the past couple of years, and then kind of average it out. I don't think that people that didn't play last year or maybe didn't perform last year because of injuries or whatever the situation may be should be necessarily higher than someone that had a great year last year. But at the same time, if that player, the first player, maybe has had 4 great years and then 1 bad year, they should probably even out to roughly around someone that had a great year last year. That's why I think DeForest Buckner should probably be like a 90, because I think he had a good year compared to like Chris Jones, Kenny Clark. I think he should be roughly around there, a couple higher than like Grady Jarrett and Linval Joseph and players like that. So next up, we have the outside linebacker position, and once again, I did them together just because it's easier to find one per like 2 positions than it is just to find one player for multiple positions. And for this, I chose Darius Leonard. So Darius Leonard had a great year. I think he had like did he have 160 tackles? Is that what he had? I don't know, but he had a lot of tackles. And 84 is almost just disrespectful. I'm going to see what they actually put his tackling rating at. Let's see. So that is a 90, so that is pretty high. But he had, like I said, he had a great year. Putting him down here at an 84 is just pretty ridiculous. He should be at least like an 87, 88, I believe, just based off of how many pass deflections and like having 160 tackles. That's a pretty good combo, especially at the outside linebacker position. 160 tackles is pretty impressive. Let's move on to middle linebacker. And for middle linebacker, it's actually someone that's really low, that I think had a pretty good year and is really underrated in this game. And it's Corey Littleton for the Rams right here. I don't understand how he's so low. He had a good amount of tackles, pass deflections, fumbles, interceptions. He did a lot. I don't know why they put him all the way at a 75. I think that's pretty disrespectful. I think he should be like an 80 at least. Like definitely should be like a quote-unquote elite player if it was Ultimate Team standards. I don't think a 75 is pretty fair for him. I think he played just as good as a Danny Trevathan last year or players like that. So I definitely think he should be higher. Next up for cornerbacks, it is actually going to be Kendall Fuller. And he got a really bad, not Kyle Fuller, but Kendall Fuller. If we can find him, where did he go? He should be down here somewhere. Did I already pass him? I might have already passed him. There he is, yeah. So he's at 87, but he had a crazy amount of tackles at the cornerback position. I think he had like 60 tackles, like 15 or 20 pass deflections, a couple interceptions. That's a pretty great year. Just the tackling alone is really big for corners. He was up there with a lot of safeties and tackles, which is pretty impressive because most of these high-level corners, they don't actually tackle a lot. They don't get a lot of tackles. But him sticking his nose in there and getting the tackles is really impressive. And for the last position, I did safety. I didn't do kicker or punter once again just because, although I do think that Justin Tucker is pretty underrated. I think he's like 87 in this game, but I'm not going to get into kickers and punters because I don't think people care that much. But for the safety position, it's going to be Derwin James down here at the 86. Pretty disrespectful. Like, he had a great year last year. He, once again, had a crazy amount of tackles, was pass deflections, interceptions, fumbles, had everything. Putting his tackle at 77 is pretty low. He was getting in there and getting a lot of tackles last year. So I think that's pretty bad. And, you know, I don't think that they really think it through. Like I said on the stats, I think they kind of just make it up as they go and try to base people off of that. So let me know what you guys think down below. Leave a like if you guys did enjoy my list of players that I think are underrated going into Madden 20. Let me know down in the comments below what other players you think really got snubbed this year, or maybe some players that you think got really overrated. And subscribe if you guys want to see more content like this. I can't wait for Madden 20 to drop in a couple weeks. That's going to be really fun. Really going to enjoy it. And as always, guys, I will see you next time.